There are places they warn you about in California: Lassen Volcanic Park, Redwood National Forest, and Sequoia National Park. So many strange sightings have been encountered at these places. What some people witnessed will be forever carved into their memories. Welcome to Weird Encounters, a place where the ordinary fades into shadow and the unexplainable comes alive. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and become part of our ever-growing community of the curious. Now prepare yourself, because what you are about to hear is not for the faint of heart. In the quiet northern corner of California, where volcanoes sleep beneath blankets of pine, a ranger kept watch over the trails. But something else was watching too. Let's find out together what he encountered and what will forever haunt his memories. It wasn't the sound that woke me. It was the smell, like wet dog, rotting wood, and copper, thick, heavy, like it crawled into my nose and clung behind my eyes. It was just after midnight, July 14th. I was assigned to the Butte Lake Outpost that weekend. It's the northeast corner of Lassen Volcanic National Park. Gets less traffic than Bumpass Hell or Manzanita Lake, which is usually fine with me. I've been a ranger 12 years now, seen fires, floods, people doing dumb things with bears, but nothing like what happened that night. The visitor center at Butte is small, rustic, one-story ranger station with 2 beds in the back, a supply shed, a radio unit, and a logbook we keep manually in case the system goes down, which it had earlier that evening. Some weather thing, they said static from an offshore storm system, but the sky was bone dry. Anyway, I'd just finished logging a lost hiker report. Some family from Redding hadn't checked back in after going out to Bathtub Lake, and I was sitting with my boots off, eating jerky and flipping through the logbook. That's when I heard what sounded like someone pounding on the back wall of the station. Not knocking, pounding. 3 hits, then nothing, then 3 more. I thought it might be a bear, so I grabbed the rifle, went out the back, and swept my flashlight. Nothing, no sound. No eyes in the brush, just silence. Then, footsteps. Not light, not heavy, just wide. That's the only way I can explain it. Whatever it was, it moved like a person but wider. Like the steps didn't follow the human center of gravity. The crunches in the dirt were too far apart for a person. No hiker steps that long. I moved toward the tree line behind the station, and that's when I saw it. Big. Too big. Something ducked behind a cluster of lodgepole pines about 20 feet out. I saw its arm, or maybe a leg, thick, covered in hair, but not like fur. It was patchy, like it had been burned off or rubbed raw in places. I called out, just to be sure. Ranger training. You announce, you give warnings, you try not to escalate. It stood up, full, just stepped out like it was tired of hiding. 8 feet, easy, shoulders like a linebacker, arms too long. It stared straight at me, not in a curious way, like it knew me, like it had seen me before. Then it did something I'll never forget. It mimicked me, took a step forward and tilted its head. Same angle I had tilted mine, raised its arm like I had raised the flashlight, mocking. I froze, didn't raise the rifle, couldn't. Something in my bones said if I moved again, I wouldn't see morning. Then, it just pulled its lips back enough to show teeth. Dark teeth. Flat. Not sharp like a predator. Just wrong. Then it dropped something. I didn't see it at first. Later, I'd find out it was a pile of pine cones and pieces of a ranger uniform shirt. We never found the guy that shirt belonged to. The thing took 3 steps back, then turned and walked into the trees. Not ran. Walked. Like it owned the forest. I reported it the next morning, filed the paperwork, even turned over the shirt to dispatch. 2 hours later, I got a call from Sacramento HQ. Not even my superior, straight from an external liaison. They told me to stand down, said the shirt was likely old park gear tossed by a transient or lost in a fire, told me my description of the incident wasn't consistent with any known species native to the region. Yeah, no kidding. I checked the logbook, not just mine, older ones, stuff from the 60s, from the 30s, entries about something big seen near Warner Valley, a visitor who claimed a hairy man was stealing trout near Rainbow Lake. Another ranger, retired now, once told me back in '94 something shadowed him all the way from the devastated area trail to Hat Creek without making a sound. He never told anybody else, said they'd pull him off the field and stick him behind a desk. Locals around Mineral and Shingletown have their own stories. Most just call it the Shadow Man. Some say it's a Bigfoot. Others say it's a spirit left behind from the volcano's last eruption in 1915. One old-timer swore it was a skinwalker until he saw it up close, then just refused to talk about it again. I started making my own map. Pins, strings, sightings, missing person cases. Lassen isn't as famous as Yosemite or Shasta, but it's older, wilder in some ways. There are pockets where the forest feels untouched, like it never wanted us there. That wasn't the last time I saw it. August 3rd, 2 years later, I was doing trail sweep after a lightning storm and saw it again, standing perfectly still behind a boulder up near Chaos Crags, just watching. Then it vanished, like it was checking in. We all pretend we don't know, but we do. The rangers talk in private. We don't tell the public. They'd panic, but it's out there. Call it Bigfoot. Call it whatever you want. It's not what you think it is. It's not some wild animal, and it's not just some big monkey in the woods. It's older, and it watches. In parts of California, the towering trees reach so high they swallow the sun, and perhaps they hide something far more unsettling. Deep within Sequoia, an ordinary camping trip unravels into a chilling encounter with something ancient, silent, and dangerously hungry. It started with the screaming, loud, inhuman, like a chorus of pain echoing through metal pipes underwater. I still hear it when the wind kicks through the trees. It was about 2:17 a.m. when it started. I checked the time because I remember thinking, that's not a coyote. We were camped just off the Alta Trail, maybe 1.5 miles south of Panther Gap. Me, my cousin Derek, and our friend Cal. We're all from Fresno, just regular weekend guys who thought it'd be cool to hike Sequoia at night under a full moon and camp where the air smelled like bark and freedom. Derek had just gotten dumped, and Cal was in one of his disconnect from the grid phases. Me? I just liked the quiet. Anyway, I was dead asleep in my sleeping bag when Derek unzipped the tent and yelled for us to get up. Not panicked, but definitely spooked. Said something about footsteps all around the site. I thought he was screwing with us until I heard it too. Heavy thuds, like someone walking barefoot but huge. Not boots, not hooves, like wet meat slapping against dirt. I unzipped the flap, and there it was. A handprint, in the middle of the tent wall. A handprint the size of a dinner plate, stretched open like it had been slapped against the nylon. But here's the thing. There were only 4 fingers, not 5. And the pinky side ended in this long drag like a claw or a hooked nail had scratched the fabric. Cal thought it was a bear. Derek said it was a prank. I just froze, stared at it, and couldn't feel my knees. Something about the shape felt wrong. Not animal, not human. Like it hadn't fully decided which it wanted to be. We packed up right there. No joke. Full packs on, boots halfway laced, headlamps on. We started walking back toward Crescent Meadow. You ever walk Sequoia at night? Every shadow is alive. Every root feels like it wants to grab your ankles. About 20 minutes in, Cal stops. Dead stop. Won't move. He points with his light. Tracks. Massive. And deep. But here's the freaky part. They weren't there when we walked that way hours before. I know that trail. These things looked fresh, still soft in the center, like whatever made them was just ahead of us. And they were weird. Too long, heel to toe like a man walking upright. But the toes, if you can even call them that, they spread out sideways, almost like a reptile's. No shoe tread, no claws, no pads, just deep, perfectly spaced impressions, like the foot didn't roll or shift weight, just stamped down mechanically. That's when Cal started crying. Just quietly, not sobbing. That weird, shameful kind of crying where you know something isn't right and your body knows it before your brain does. We never saw it. Not clearly. But it was there. Watching. You ever get that feeling like you're not alone, but it's not even close to human? Like you're standing on a stage and something in the audience is staring and drooling at the same time? I swear, I could hear it breathing. Something exhaling slow, like steam through a vent. Every time we moved, the trees shifted, not from wind, from something circling. Eventually, we just sat down. All three of us, grown men, too scared to move. Sat there in the dark for what felt like hours. Sun came up and whatever it was stopped moving. The forest turned quiet again. Birds started singing. We followed the tracks back a bit in daylight. They led to a dry creek bed, but then they just stopped. Not faded. Stopped. Like it vanished. We took photos, but nothing came out. Blurry. Glitched. I know how that sounds. I do. We told a ranger. He nodded, didn't laugh, just said, "Stay on the paved trails." That part of the forest is older. I went home and started reading. Turns out there's stories, lots of them. Locals in Three Rivers talk about something they call the silent giant. Say it's a shape changer that only shows up after dark, walks like a man, but leaves no scent. Hunters have gone missing. Cameras stop working. Trees get marked with strange burn patterns. 3 clawed slashes down the trunks, always 7 feet off the ground. An old guy at a bait shop near Lake Sequoia told me a story. Back in the 80s, he said, some crew went up into the high country to scout film locations. Came back rattled. Wouldn't talk about it. Left all their gear behind. He claimed one of them quit film altogether and moved to Mexico. There's even something in the park logs from 1972. A Forest Service worker reported unusual footprints near Mineral King. Said they were over 18 inches long, with no heel arch. When they sent someone to investigate, the page ends with "no further action needed." No further action. Like they were told to stop looking. I still go camping. But not there. Never again there. Whatever that thing was, it didn't want us dead. But it needed us scared. I don't think it feeds on people. I think it feeds on fear. They've whispered about it for centuries, in old campfire tales and frightened midnight stories. Here, behind California's towering redwoods, where the mist creeps and the shadows move, something ancient prowls. Older than the trees. Older than the stories themselves. It threw the rock. 1 second it was dead quiet. No wind, no birds, not even that buzzing sound the forest usually has. And the next, this huge boulder, I mean the size of a watermelon at least, came flying out of the trees and landed not 6 feet from where we were sitting. I know that sounds nuts, but it happened. I was with my girlfriend Leah and her little brother Jake. We were up near the Damnation Creek Trail, just outside Crescent City. This was last fall, October. We were trying to get in one last camping trip before the rain started up. And the weird part? It didn't roll. It landed. Like it dropped straight down. Now, I've been hiking in Northern California my whole life. I've had weird stuff happen. Heard owls sound like people, seen mountain lion prints where they shouldn't be, even stumbled on some culty setup once near Berry Glen. But this was different. This felt wrong. Jake thought it was a prank. He was laughing at first, saying maybe some other hikers were messing with us. But Leah didn't laugh. Her face changed fast. She whispered something like, "Do you feel that?" And I did. Pressure. Like the air was thicker suddenly, like something heavy was just out of sight. We stood up and turned our lights toward the trees. Nothing. But the feeling got worse. I'm talking full-body goosebumps, like every hair on me was standing up. And then the smell hit. It was so strong it almost made me gag. It was this mix of wet moss, old meat, and something else, like sulfur or metal. We didn't run. I don't know why. I guess we were too freaked out to even move. But we started backing up toward our tent, and that's when Jake screamed. We spun around, and that's when we saw it. At first, it looked like a tree trunk, tall, dark, unmoving. But then it shifted, like it had been crouched and stood up. Huge, easily 8 or 9 feet. It didn't make a sound, not even a grunt. Just stood there, backlit by the moonlight, and I swear to you, it didn't have eyes that glowed, but they reflected. Like a dog's at night, that weird amber shine. But they weren't right. Too far apart. Too high. And too human. I don't know how long we stood there staring at it. Could have been seconds or minutes. Leah finally whispered that we needed to go. Slowly. No running. Just walk. We did. It didn't follow. Not right away. But we could hear it. Breaking branches, heavy footfalls, following from a distance. Sometimes it would stop when we stopped, like it didn't want us to know exactly how close it was. We made it back to the trailhead in maybe an hour, but it felt like 5. And we didn't speak the whole way. When we got into the car, Jake just said, "That wasn't a bear." And we all knew he was right. I thought maybe we had some sort of mass hysteria moment, like our brains tricked us. But the next day, I looked around online and found tons of similar reports. People seeing a large humanoid shape, smelling that same awful stink, hearing things thrown at them. Even found a retired ranger's blog. He called it the Gray Walker. Said it doesn't scream, doesn't growl, just follows, watches. He said once it followed him from Prairie Creek all the way to Fern Canyon without stepping on a single twig. Said the only reason he knew it was still behind him was the smell. Locals have stories too. This guy at a tackle shop in Orick told me that some fishermen years ago heard loud grunts across the Klamath, and when they tried to film it, their camera died. Not just the battery, like it shut down cold. I even talked to a Yurok woman at a gas station near Klamath Glen. She didn't call it Bigfoot. She said the name was something like Oma, means the one who moves like mist. She said her grandfather swore they're not animals, not spirits either. Something in between. Something left behind. We haven't been back to that part of the park since. Can't even look at pictures of those trees without getting a weird feeling in my gut. I still hike, but not there. Something about those redwoods. They hold things. Not just stories. Things. I never believed in any of this before. I thought Bigfoot was a joke. A tourist thing. Now I don't think he's out there. I know he is. And so, another strange encounter fades away. A trick of the mind, or something far more unsettling. That's for you to decide. Thank you so much for watching my stories. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Your support is what keeps this channel going.